G'day, folks. Welcome back to the Beaver 42 podcast. We're going to do our 2024 prediction show. How are you, Beaver?
Good, buddy. Footy back on the weekend, so look forward to seeing how our predictions stack up at the end of September.
Yep, it's probably lucky we didn't have time to have a look at last year's because I'm pretty sure we were disgraceful. But let's hope we're a bit better this year. Prize no one wants, and it's the spoon. Now, I'm going to go with the Tigers. I just don't think they've recruited well enough to improve, and they're just so far from the other teams. What's your thoughts on the spoon for you, mate?
Well, based on the preseason, they were terrible against the Dragons, but I've got a different team. I'm backing the Raiders to get the spoon. Right, they actually were better than I thought in the preseason. Young Ethan Strange looks like he'll be a cracker player in the years to come, but I think the Raiders will struggle a bit in the halves. They'll miss Whiten, and they'll end up with a few injuries in the forwards. And Ricky will pick up a spoon.
Yeah, well, he'll either go close to picking up a spoon or a heart attack, one of the others. And yet, speaking of halves, I just think the Tigers will miss Luke Brooks too much as well. So yeah, well, there's our spoon. You got Raiders, I've got Tigers. Good luck to our teams not picking one up because I think we're both a chance.
That's why we didn't pick them, right?
All right, mate. We'll move on to the top eight. Who's your top eight, my friend?
Yep. So top eight in no particular order, or they have to be in order.
Whichever you would prefer, mate. Whatever makes you comfortable.
All right. Okay. So I'll go in order. I'm backing. Might be a bit of a surprise, but I've got the Parramatta Eels coming into the top four, right? North Queensland Cowboys, Perth Panthers, the Broncos rounding out the top four, Souths, Roosters, the Warriors, and the Storms to finish out the top eight. So no Sharkies, no Newcastle, no Manly for me.
Yeah, interesting. And look, mine's pretty similar. I'll run through mine. So I'm going with the Panthers. They just don't look like they've dropped off too far, to be honest, even though they lost the World Club Challenge. I've got the Eels making a big comeback. Moses and Brown only played 8 games together last year.
Yep.
They'll be so much better. I've got the Sharkies being really good this year. I think settled in the halves. Nico Hines been a bit better. Storm. And then the Broncos to not make the top four, but still be comfortable in the 8, followed by the Roosters, the Cowboys, and a bit of a heart pick with the Titans. Realistically, I don't think they'll make it, but I'll say they are for now.
Yeah, you obviously didn't watch them play on the weekend, right?
Yeah.
Preseason. Anyway.
Preseason.
Yeah, exactly. You can't read anything into the preseason, right?
So,
yeah. Few changes in the 8 this year, right? Based on what we've got up. Quite a big amount of changes. So
absolutely. Well, I think
high competition.
I haven't got South making the 8 again. Eels didn't make it last year, and Manly didn't make it last year, and the Cows didn't make it last year. All really good teams. So as you've said numerous times, mate, I just think the top 8's going to be really tight, in particularly from 4th through to 11th. I think they're all going to be roughly the same points.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a good season.
Yeah, injuries is going to make the difference there. So
correct.
Speaking of which, the prediction for the grand final, I've got the Battle of the West. I've got Panthers versus Eels to make the grand final this year.
Really? Wow, you've gone the Para boys, right? So I've gone Para, and against the North Queensland Cowboys. So 2 teams that didn't make the 8 last year in the GF this year, right? So I think Penrith pull up a game short this year.
Yeah, every chance. I feel like with Jerome Luai's last year, I think they'll all pull together and they'll really want to make some sort of record for themselves. But geez, you better put some money on those 2 teams making the GF now, mate. That's got to be paying great odds.
Already, mate. I'll put it on before all the punters get on it. Following our tips.
After seeing this, those odds will plummet because everyone's going to jump on it. So with the premiers this year, you haven't got the Panthers there, and I've got the Eels actually making the raising of the cup or the flag, whatever it is they do.
Really? Wow. Well, we're aligned on that. I've got the Eels coming through, right? So I've got them finally. Ding Dong the Witch is dead. Them winning the GF this year as well. Right? So, which is really interesting, right? You know, um, if I remember properly, a week ago you didn't even have the Eels in the top 8, right? So how a good bit of trial form has changed your view?
I can't remember, to be honest. I don't believe that's true, but I'll take your
Oh,
word
okay,
for it. I'll
fair
take
enough.
your
Fair
word
enough.
for
It
it.
might be a lie.
So, but yeah, I just think the Eels that they were just injury riddled or suspension riddled last year. Surely D-Bags can't be in trouble again this year, and Moses will be healthy all season. So that'll
Yep.
make such a difference. And boy, they've got some back rowers too. They got to
Yeah.
fit
Well,
like
that was an area they really sucked last year, right? So Madison missed their first 3 games because he didn't want to pay $5,000 suspension or something, right? It was just a whole myriad of dumb decisions through the year, um, derailed their season, right? And I think they'll be itching to get back out there after a long off season that they can have.
yeah. Yeah, totally agree. So we'll move on to individual accolades now. So we've got
Yep.
the top try scorer, and I've got Melbourne Storm Xavier Coates to get back to old form and score roughly 26.
So I've gone usual suspect, Alex Johnson, to top the table again.
Yep, both had pretty down years last year, reasonable years, but not to their expectations. So let's hope they bounce back. Who have you got as the point scoring winner this year, mate?
Well, I've got the Eels at the top. So I'm going with Moses to be the guy. He's not going to miss any games with Origin. So whereas I think Cleary will miss 2 or 3, 2. So yeah, Mitchell Moses is my man for the most points.
Yeah, and I've basically done the same thing, but mine is Nico Hines because I don't think he'll play any Origin this year either. So they've burnt him there. Dalian Player of the Year, mate. So you're basing it on the point scorer because I've gone Nico Hines to double up there.
No, I've actually gone Scotty Drinkwater to get the Dally M. I think if the Cowboys have a big year, he is the most important player for that team in terms of setting up points, right? Chad Townsend's just, I think he's lame. But, Drinkwater is the guy who brings their attack together, right? So Scotty Drinkwater's the man. Put your money on him.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that because Scotty Drinkwater try assist king. So yeah, I like that one. So for this year, you've got a few big surprises for yours. Mine is that the Sharks will make the top 4. You don't like that because you haven't even got them in the 8. So what's your big surprise for the season, mate?
Well, mine was that the Eels will get the premiership, right? And the grand final will have 2 teams that didn't even make the 8 last year.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. And seriously, put some money on it.
Yeah.
The reverse side of that is the biggest disappointment, and I've gone with South not making the 8 again.
Yeah, and I've got 2 there. I've got Manly and the Sharkies not making the top.
Yeah.
So, Manly will struggle, and the Sharkies will be a disappointment if they don't make the top 8. But tough
Yeah.
shit.
No, look, I think Manly's issue is going to be health and fitness of the Turbo family, and Ben's always injured, Tommy's always injured, and he's 104 now, so he can't continue making 50 tackles a game. So I'm with you. I think Manly will struggle this year. So based on that information, mate, who have you got as your first coach fired?
Oh, oh, wow! Is that the curveball? I don't remember that in the run sheet. First coach fired. Jesus.
I got a few. I'll say mine.
You might have to. You go first.
Yep.
Right. While I kind of round it out.
Fair
Right?
enough. Well, based on South not making the 8 again, I've got Demetrio missing
Good.
out.
Good pick. Good pick. I think Ricky, if he picks up the spoon, he'll be safe for the year. I can't see them getting rid of him mid-year, right? So I'm going to say, even though Newcastle just signed Adam O'Brien, right? I think he could be a casualty if they have a nightmare season, right? So, or in fact, change my mind. Anthony, the smartest man in the
There you
NRL
go.
Seabold, is
I was,
the first man to go,
I
right?
was waiting for the
He
penny
will
to
be,
drop on that one.
yeah, he will be far too cerebral to keep a job in the NRL, right? He should work in rugby unions where he should work.
That's a great call. That's a great call because that's a burgeoning business, rugby. I hear they're not near bankrupt at all.
That's right. That's right. So anyway, good luck to them. All right. So
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, there's our picks for the year.